Hi,
Hi.
everyone. I am so excited to be chatting with you, and I have a very special friend who's joining us who has one of the most special, unbelievable souls that I've encountered. And she's also going to share a little bit about her magical life with us. So, right
It's going.
now, we're going to invite Florence. Hey,
Okay.
Florence. How are you?
Okay. I'm okay. Just trying to fix my ear plug, whatever. Yes, everything. Yeah. Yes, Ultra. Sorry.
You look amazing.
No,
Absolutely.
I'm. Say, what are you saying? Look at you. I was outside actually. It was so hot. I became red like a tomato. So last minute, I decided to go inside in my bedroom. All right. So, lady, what do you want to know about me?
I want to know every last thing about you.
Oh my God, that's going to be a very serious thing. And I don't think I'll be able to tell you everything. Otherwise, you might have to censor half of it.
Well, the thing is that I think the best parts, of course, will need to be censored for Facebook just because that's the way of the world today. But I'm
Yeah.
sure the 1% that the world can hear, you can share a little. Like everybody
Yes,
knows
of
you,
course.
everybody loves you, but no one really knows how you ended up here. It's almost like you just appeared magically like a fairy one day.
Oh, that's really sweet. Yes, how I came to Pakistan is quite a big surprise, even for me, because I never intended to come to Pakistan. It just happened at that time. It was we were in 72, right? And I'm coming from a what you call very bourgeois aristocratic family. So I was a rebel. I don't know how you say in English properly, the misfit. So I decided to leave my family and to travel. So doing that, I had two friends of mine, equally mad, and we decided, the three of us, to hitchhike. So that's how I came to Pakistan, hitchhiking. And it took me nearly 2 years to come to Pakistan. But I never intended to come to Pakistan because, like every person at that time, we were all hypnotized by Nepal or India. But it just happened, I stayed in Pakistan
So even
because
before, oh, sorry, please,
tell
because
me,
I was saying that
because I met a Pakistani good looking guy, adorable, and I eventually marry him, and that's why I'm here and
so
got
it
two
was
children.
romance.
Sorry,
So it was romance.
it's romance who kept me to Pakistan. Then also I must say I fell in love with the country, which is maybe the most important thing, but because I'm still here, even though I divorced my husband, I decided to stay in Pakistan because honestly, I love this country with all its faults, all its problem. I still think it's an amazing country due basically to the people themselves, because people are amazingly hospitable, kind, generous. Thing unfortunately we tend to forget in Europe. That's why I'm here. Okay,
So how was it for you as a little girl?
two. When I was in a
What was
little girl.
yes? I
Oh,
mean, people
when I
have
was
this
in the,
image of you working in a restaurant, whereas you were an aristocrat and you grew up in a very different way. So share a
yeah,
little bit about your
absolutely.
upbringing.
Absolutely different way. No, I was brought up, as you say, in a very aristocratic family, went to school, religious school, the best school. Then eventually ended up in New York. I was studying sociology then. So I was in New York, and I mean, it's a very long story. I mean, if you want to speak to me, it might take the full night. So I should not go into too many details. But then in New York, I met this American mad person, and we started traveling to Mexico, to Guatemala. Then we went to France, and then along with him and another friend of ours, we went to Pakistan. That's how it came.
Okay, and so when the charm was Nepal and other places, what was the moment, the magical moment when you guys decided let's hitchhike to Pakistan next?
The magic moment is when, actually, you know what? I never planned to come to Pakistan. It just happened when we were, because we started from Lebanon. Then Lebanon, we went to Syria. Then Syria, we went to Iraq. Then after we went to Iran, Afghanistan. You know, that's how it came. One day we decided to go next country, but nothing was planned ahead. Just a question of we were very curious to see what was the next country. And then we ended up in Pakistan, planning to go to India. And then we never made it to India, or I never made it to India. Both of my friends went to India, but I stayed back because I met my husband to be. That's why.
And tell us about that moment when you met your husband to be.
Oh, I met him. That's a very funny circumstances because I was in Karachi and I was doing some modeling. And the photographer uh, called my husband, Akbar Rizvi, said, listen, I have this very nice girl. That was me. And he was looking at that time for a foreigner to play the role of the mother of his children. He was married to a Swiss lady and he wanted an actor to play the mother. So he told him, I have exactly the girl for you. Please fly to Karachi. So he flew to Karachi and tried to convince me to stay back. But at that time, you know, I think I was quite tired with my hippie life, sleeping on the floor, not to be able to take shower every day. So, so I said, no, 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 I'm sorry. And now I'm going back to France. And then he took a lot of pictures of me. And then he went back to Lahore. And at that time, it was Shanoor Studio. He was the owner of Shanoor Studio. So he showed my picture to the person who was staying with him. Because Shanoor Studio was a place when all the hippie going to India, they would stop in Lahore and everybody knew Shanoor Studio. You go there, the person is so nice, you'll have food, you'll be looked after. So it just happened to be a friend of mine there from New York. So when he saw my picture, he could not believe it. He said, that's Florence, I can't believe it. So Akbar came back to Karachi and he said, listen, just at least go and meet Curtis. His name was Curtis. I said, okay, I'll go and meet Curtis. And that was 45 years ago, and I'm still there. So you see, life is very strange. A little incident, then your life take a different turn, and that's what happened to me.
Wonderful.
Exactly.
And so, why Karachi, not Lahore, as you guys seem to be going back and forth?
No, no, no. First, I was in Lahore because actually I live with my mother-in-law who was Noor Jahan. And so I lived with her, and that was quite on its own, quite an experience, full of fun and drama and shout and music, and I mean a madhouse, which I loved actually. So I was in Lahore for 16 years, and then after that, I must say, because Akbar was very much, how would I say, in a nice way, under his mother's spell, because she was a very powerful lady. She was amazing. So I said, Akbar, enough is enough. Now let's go. And he was a very good photographer. So he went to Karachi once or twice, made this huge poster which people loved. And I said, listen, Akbar, let's move to Karachi. And that's how we moved to Karachi.
Okay. Do you have any fun story to share about your mother-in-law and living
Oh,
with your mother-in-law in Lahore? Like even the first time you
yeah.
met her.
Okay, I'll tell you a very funny story. When I met her the first time, so Akbar took me to her house to meet her, and she was speaking in Urdu all the time. And at that time, my backside was quite, I would say, prominent. And she kept asking, Huma and Ami were asking picture. What, I did not understand what she was asking of that. And Akbar was laughing. And she wanted to know if my bottom was real or not. So, so she thought it was padded. So Akbar was saying, Melissa, I'm sorry, I don't know yet. So that's
So you were
So
the
that was
Kim
a little,
Kardashian of Pakistan.
but she was hilarious. She was hilarious. I mean, really, she was a fantastic imitator. She used to imitate everybody. And I mean, the least I can say, very colorful personality. That's it.
Wow. And so when you moved to Karachi, uh,
Hmm.
after 16 years of marriage, did you start, like, what point did you start Cafe Flow? What did you do when you first moved to Karachi? Or
No, I moved to Karachi in what year? I forgot. Uh, I'm very bad at dates. Anyway, I stayed in Karachi, and unfortunately, Akbar turned into an alcoholic. And he was the most fine, genuine, clean human being. But unfortunately, it's impossible. I mean, at least for me, to live with an alcoholic. So I decided to leave him because I have two young children, Sonia and Sikander at that time. And the scene with an alcoholic is not always very nice. Shouting, abusing, sometimes also violent. So I decided to leave Akbar, and uh, and then I started my clothes boutique, a boutique called Cleo at
clothing?
that time.
You did clothing
Mm,
first.
and my clothing was very popular. It was very nice. I really enjoyed it. And then after a few years, I'm sorry, my date are very. I should have written down. I should have do my homework and put all the date, but I don't remember the date. And I started Cafe Flow. Cafe Flow I started 22 years ago,
But
something like
before
this.
Cafe Flow, when you were doing clothing, did you do
Yeah,
French clothing for Pakistan,
yeah.
or did you do
It
like shabal kameez?
no, no. It was a very Western style of shalwar kameez. There was not full embroidery and difficult. It was a clean line. I mean, like a French style. So it was very successful. I had a really lovely time doing my boutique. My life was in Rabi Center, where I used actually to live there, and have all this. I had a big workshop with all the carrigers and few embroidery men. And then after that, somebody. Oh yes, how it started actually my restaurant. I never had any intention to open a restaurant, believe me, because I was always told it's the worst business in the world. So it's so. So I was in Paris with Sonia and Sikander, and I took them to a place, a creperie. When they make pancakes, the creperie.
Yes, of
And
course.
when I saw them eating the crepe with so much, I mean, appetite and ecstatic. They were both ecstatic. I said, oh, when I come back next month, I'm going to start opening a creperie. So I start getting the crepier. I start getting recipe, and went to Karachi. Now I had to find a place. So the place was not very simple to get. And then at that time, I was quite friendly with a lovely director of the Alliance Française. His name was Bernard Frontero. And he told me, but why don't you take the cafeteria of the Alliance? I said, wow, that's absolutely fabulous. So it was the best place I could have. The Alliance Française was a fantastic place with a big park and so on. So I said, fantastic. So I opened, I start doing all the, I mean, I have very little money at that time. And then doing the painting and the decor. And then people kept coming to me and say, but listen, Florence, crepe, you think crepe only is not good enough. And at that time, I used to be very entertaining a lot of my friends. So I said, so people will say, why don't you put your steak also? I say, okay, why not? And once we say, why don't you have your salad? Okay. And before I knew it, the crepe was at the back of the kitchen, and I started actually a French. I mean, I started a French restaurant, but it was not my intention at all. So luckily at that time there was a French lady who was there, and she owned a restaurant in France, and she said, "Listen, if you need my help, I can do something. I can start the restaurant with you." I said, "That's fantastic." So it's true that she helped me, And then little by little myself, I learned the trade, and that's it. Where I am today. I mean, today I'm totally closed, so that's not exactly a very good thing to say.
Well, that's temporary. But one of
Well,
the things,
Uzra, I don't know. I really don't know, and I'm becoming a little bit worried about that because honestly, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. And if it happen again to reopen, it will be in a very strict condition, rightfully, because we'll have to observe the social distancing and all that. So if I observe social distancing, means my restaurant will be half full, right? And if my restaurant is half full, I can survive. So I have to think of what I'm going to do about that. And obviously, my main concern is my staff, because I have my staff, some are with me from day one. I have about 6 of them from day one. So I feel it's my responsibility. But unfortunately, I won't be able to pay them full salary forever, right? So that's a big problem I'm facing right now.
well, it is a
But I won't
genuine
give up.
problem that everyone's sort of facing. Before we
Oh,
sort of
yes.
discuss the realities of that, one of the most impressive things is that you have had the same waiters and staff since, and now
Yeah.
this would be,
Yeah.
how many years would be
Yeah.
since the beginning? Would it be like
Uh,
20,
I
30
would say
years?
20, yeah, 23 years. I
So
was
in
10 years
23,
I was 10 years in the Alliance Française, and then now it's 13 years where my restaurant is located today. So I make about 23 years, right? And
so
my staff is like my family now because they are. I mean, they are very special, obviously, because it's thanks to them I have my cafe flow. That's what
of
I know
course,
that.
and they're amazing, but they're also like you learned the tricks of the trade. You also learned how to manage them and to work with them and to create an ambiance of trust and understanding and consistency and
But
loyalty. And
yeah,
how did that come about?
you know, I think the first thing it is you respect them, and I think if you just treat your personal with respect and consideration, and I think that the main thing they want more than money, they want to be respected, they want to be appreciated. If they do a very good dish, I'm the first one to go to the kitchen, say it was fantastic, how well done. If it's bad, I'll tell them also that basically that's what they want, I think, just to be respected, appreciated. And they are amazing. They all amazing. Like I have one of my best cook. He was a chokidar in the Alliance Française. And by then, when I left, he said, Madame, please, can I be a chokidar in your restaurant? I said, okay. Then he was nice. He was keen. He kept coming. He said, can I see the kitchen? I said, sure. So he went to the kitchen. Then he started in the dishwasher. Then after dishwasher, he was a busboy. And then he was in the salad because you start cold. Kitchen, you start the cold kitchen. Then after that, you learn in a hot kitchen. And it just happened that he's amazing. He's amazing. He's keen to work, keen to know, keen to learn. So I found Pakistani people amazing to work with, honestly. I may be the only one. I may be the only one because I know some of my European friends are just, they say we can't go. But I'm very lucky in that case. I'm very lucky.
Well, I think it's a two-way process. Relationships are symbiotic that way. But obviously, 2 months of being closed, and Karachi, unlike other parts of Pakistan where delivery and takeout never stopped in other parts, but here it stopped for a long time. And you've only had, I think, is it 10 days of actually being able to even do that. It's been very tough on the bottom line. And as you said, you have to think about the realities that people are saying for the restaurant business. It'll take minimum 4 months till people are back to full capacity. And then how do you sustain those salaries and so forth? You yourself have reinvented yourself from clothing to now,
Mm,
cafe flow and restauranting and so forth. What do you think are the options out there, not just for yourself, but let's say you were 20 years old and you had a new restaurant? Would you continue in
mm.
this field and chalk it off because you actually are not someone who grew up in the restaurant business.
Not
You're
at all.
someone who grew up with a very different life, but sort of life
Yeah.
led you magically down this path. But you seem to love it.
No, no, you can't do this work if you don't love it. Now, if you just do a restaurant because you think that you're going to make a lot of money, it doesn't work. You know, you should treat a restaurant like it's your own house, like the guest, your client, they are your own guest. That's very important. And that's till now, after 23 years, I'm still love my restaurant and my customers. So I'm blessed in that sense. But now the next step is quite, I won't say gloomy, but it's not so optimistic. So I'm thinking I should, if it's out of question, I close my cafe floor, unless I lose a lot of money. That's another story. But I think I should go in catering more now. But catering is not the same thing, but at least it's a way of employing my staff. You see, that's what I can see.
But
Only
catering is even a
solution.
challenge right now because of social distancing. So there's not that many big parties and weddings and so forth. You and I have worked on, we've engaged you for some incredible catering. I don't know if you remember the Wago booth and all that amazing, amazing food that you had made for one of my dinners. But
Yeah,
it's one of those things where with social distancing, people aren't even having that large gatherings at their home. It's very complicated, you know.
it's very complicated. Yeah, but you see, for Eid, at least they managed to have the family over. But yeah, but I think nobody knows. Nobody knows what the future is going to be in 4 months' time.
And how
That's
long?
all.
Like, I think that things are coming back to life, but there's also so many more cases that it's
Yeah,
hard to predict. But excuse me, it's not something where you can take a break for a month and then come back. Everyone can just take a month off and nap because you still have rent as well as staff salaries, correct?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So honestly, it's not a best time of my life right now because I'm worried. I'm worried mostly for my staff, honestly, because I have about 65 people on my payroll. You see? So 65 people means everyone has at least 5 people dependent on them. So you can imagine how many people Cafe Flow make people leave. So it's I mean it's my main concern right now. Let's hope we can
Well,
open.
of course, and it's yours in the entire restaurant industry. It's a
Yeah,
challenge not only
all
for
over the
that
world.
industry, but for many others. But what can you take from the way your life has taken you down some very different paths? Do you think tomorrow this might be a turning point where if things work out in a sudden way, you might be doing a completely different thing altogether?
I don't know about completely different thing. You mean in a restaurant field?
No, I meant that the way that your life took you so, um,
Different
you know,
ways.
yes, yes, yes.
You know, right now I still think I'm not exactly a young person, and I still think I want to do a lot of things. So right now I'm still concentrating on the restaurant business because it's been my business for the last 22 years. And as I'm telling you, I can convert my restaurant into catering, takeaway, delivery. But you know, cafe food is fine. I mean, it's fine dining, so it's not too good for takeaway or catering. Catering, it is a thing. I think people having party when they'll be allowed to have party, then maybe they can use the service of cafe flow. And if it doesn't work, then I'll think of something else, right? But I can't
Well,
stop working.
of course, and we would miss you too much
Well,
if you didn't. You're someone
that's sweet.
who gives so much value to everyone. What do
That's
you
sweet.
think overall about what's happened with COVID, this coronavirus that's come to us? In your life journey, so many unusual things have happened, so many paths have unfolded for you. Do you think there's a larger purpose taking place now that is going to just sort of that is shaking things up? And sort of how do you view something like this? Are you just eager to go back to the way things were, or do you think there's going to be a new normal? In addition, I'm not talking about in a month or two. I'm talking in 2 years.
The new normal, I think, is that people will work more from the house, basically, and that's
Even in 5, 10 years, you see a lot more of of that taking
I,
place.
I think, but I'm not a guru. I can't predict the future, even though guru can also. But I think that's the main thing is going to happen, and maybe people, maybe I don't know. People go back to their old habits very soon. Also, right
And
now,
people
this
forget very quickly.
yeah, very quickly. But somehow this lockdown has been, for some people, very good in the sense that they could just really meet the family, learn, be together. And I know a lot of my friends have been so thrilled because they have been with their children, which they never happened to be with their children. So that's something. And for some other people who are confined into a small flat, it has been a nightmare, right? So it depends how lucky you are, what the setup, how your life is. Do you have big space? Do you have a tiny flat? It's all individually. The experience has been very different according to the people, economic status, actually.
So that is so true. Would you be able to share one of your favorite memories of Cafe Flow?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I have so many. But
I
I
know you have
remember,
so many.
but once, because at that time I was in the Alliance Française, and they had also this threat, keep going. So every time there was a threat, the first thing they would do, come and close the Alliance Française, meaning close Café Flow, or close only Café Flow. It was according to my relation with the Consul General. So at one go, they closed my Café Flow for 2 months.
2 months. You've been through this
two
before.
2 months. So, then my staff I wanted to have a meeting with my staff. So they all came and they said, actually, madam, we want to have a meeting with you. All right. And I was absolutely sure that they would say, madam, sorry, but it's so uncertain our future. We have to find a job, which should have been totally normal. And on the contrary, when I arrived there with a very heavy feet, I would say, my head chef said, madam, whatever happened, don't worry, we'll never leave you. So at that time I started crying because I was looking so moved. And that's still the same mentality today. They are really good. I'm very blessed. So, but Café Flow, there's so many incidents, funny, not so funny. Thank God, nothing dramatic, but plenty of souvenirs. Actually, I should have written a book about all what happened in Café Flow.
I think you should still write a book. That's what you can do during these lockdown days and
You're
quiet
right.
days.
You're right. That's what my sister, my son say. Mama, write your memory, write your travel, write these. But I still did not put myself down to do that. Not yet. I feel very busy in this lockdown, actually.
So, what is your typical day like in this lockdown?
Oh, I get up late because I sleep very late. So I get up about 10 o'clock. Then I do my exercise. So I need to do exercise. I broke my femur 4 months ago, so exercise is very important. I do that. So by then it's about 2 o'clock, the time I do my breakfast. Then I start reading a little bit on the iPad on what's happening. I don't listen to the news anymore, but I found it so depressing. Then I have my book. I play Sudoku. I have my friend in France or in Pakistan. I call or they call me. I play a game with my son, which is absolutely hooked on it. And then I do again my exercise in the evening, and have dinner usually with Sikander. And then after time, TV time, film or documentary, and sleep not before 2 o'clock usually, 2:30. But the day are really fast, going so fast. It's incredible, actually. And all
Well,
my
it
friends say
sounds
the same thing.
crazy busy,
Very busy, very busy.
and yet it sounds
Lo-
peaceful at the same time.
no, no, totally. I have a low battery, Sikander. Low battery.
Okay,
Is that you?
so no, no, that's not me. That's you, but that's okay because we'll just end with: is there anything you wish people would know about you?
That's a very difficult question. No, yeah, I could say something. Yes, you're right. You know, I'm suffering from a disease called MS. MS is a very debilitating condition. And I have this for the last 23 years, right? So now I move with great difficulty. But I want to tell people, you know, in life, we all face problem, but the thing is, fight it and never give up. That's the only thing I can say. Don't give up. Don't give up. If I did not do all this exercise, which is tedious sometimes, today I will be totally wheelchair bounded. But mashallah, I walk a walker, I can walk, I work, I travel. So that's what I want to say. Don't we all have problem, but don't give up. That's all.
Well,
That's
that's
all I
a
can say.
beautiful, beautiful sentiment,
Mm.
as you are as well. Very beautiful soul. So thank you for sharing some time chatting. I've been missing hanging
No,
out with you. So this is a
it
real
was a
treat for me.
thank you, Uzra. It was a pleasure talking to you. Absolutely a pleasure. All right.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Good night. Bye. 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 Bye.